The Beeline Moto was a pretty revolutionary device when it was launched, offering motorcyclists a simple, easy and compact navigation solution. But Beeline didn't rest on their laurels. They've been busy at work and have now just released the brand new Moto II. Having used this device and played around with it, it is obvious that Beeline took some feedback from their original customers and incorporated those things that people thought were missing or would improve the product into this new Moto II. And I can testify to that based on some of the comments that were left on my original Beeline video with feedback that people were offering. So let's start by going through some of those enhancements and changes made to the new device before seeing what it's actually like out in the real world. As you can see, the Moto II is bigger than the original. The diameter is only 3mm wider, but the screen area has almost doubled. That screen is now a TFT rather than an LCD, so there's less reflection. That increase in size does mean an increase in weight, going from 29 grams up to 42 grams, but that's largely down to the fact that the Moto II has a bigger 600 milliamp hour battery compared to the 350 milliamp hour battery of the original version. It's available in both plastic and metal cased versions, and the aluminium device has either a gunmetal or silver finish. The Moto II comes with a universal mount and USB-C charger in the box. The inclusion of a USB-C port I think is a good move. Previously you had to mount the Moto onto a specific charging base, although that base did obviously come with the device. But now you can charge it with any USB-C cable, and more importantly, because of its positioning, you can actually charge or power this device whilst it's mounted to your bike's handlebars. Another change you need to be aware of is the mount. The original had a 2-prong base and the Moto II is now 4. This does of course mean that if you owned the original Beeline and you move up to the new Beeline, any of the mounts that you had or have bought for this won't fit into them. However, Beeline do offer an adapter which is a replacement for the centerpiece. Simply screw out the original and replace. There's a lot of detail that I want to get across about this product to make sure you get a real feel for it in this video, but by the same token I don't want to make this video really long and tedious. So let's see the changes and how this device operates by looking at it in action. Now, I haven't yet spoken about the biggest change with the Moto II, and that is the way that those route instructions are shown to you, the rider. The original Moto used a direction indication arrow with a distance prompt to the next turning. This was enhanced with an exit number indicator for roundabouts. It was a system that I personally found very clear and easy to use. However, on complex junctions or where you had two turnings close together, there could be a little bit of ambiguity as to which exit or which turning you needed to take. Well, not anymore with the Moto II. It displays a small map on the screen instead of the arrow. It's a simplified map for clarity. Nobody wants a tiny, really detailed GPS map on a device this small. It is very clear and is obviously the biggest enhancement over the original. You still get a distance prompt, a direction arrow and your journey progressed, but the addition of the map elevates the Moto II in my opinion. When you're riding, the map updates quickly, and in the month or so that I've been using it, I've had no confusion over junctions or turnings. Now, I liked the previous version. I thought the arrow was a nice simple operation. As soon as you start using this and you've got just that tiny little simplified map, it makes that a whole lot easier. So for the people that struggled with the first one and thought it might be a little bit tricky to use, you are going to probably find this one much easier. The controls have also improved for the better too. The Moto had 4 buttons around its casing for different functions, which are all pretty easy to use. With gloved hands, depending on the position that you had it mounted, they could be slightly problematic. The Moto II, instead of using those buttons, has a rocker switch built into the actual case itself. It's super easy to use and I think this is a massive improvement. One click down shows the battery level for the device and your phone, as well as the brightness setting. Another click down takes you to the options menu. When in use, those clicks take you to the ride menu, where you have a number of options to view, such as journey progress. You can use it as a speedometer, you've got your ride info, and of course you've got the compass mode. It is really intuitive, and you'll be working your way around this within no time at all. Very, very simple indeed. One of the negatives raised about the original Beeline was that there was no audio or indeed a specific visual prompt for a junction coming up. Obviously you had the countdown yardage marker and the arrow, but that was it. But that's been taken care of with the Moto 2. You'll see these two little sections at the top here. They actually house some very bright LED lights. So as you approach the junction or a turning that you need to make, those two LEDs will light up on the top, and believe me, they do grab your attention. Further to this, if you connect the Moto 2 to your Bluetooth headset, you will also get an audio alert when those light up. Again, I think that's a really good feature, and it means that you can spend less time glancing at your device and concentrating on what's going on, because you will get that either bright light or the bright light with the ping if you've got it connected, and it means you can quickly look down, see what the instruction is, and carry on your journey. Okay, so there's an audio alert. Great, but still no spoken instructions? Well, for those people that thought that this was a feature that the device should have, the Moto 2 now does offer spoken audio directions. But there is a caveat to that, and I think it is something that will probably be moaned about in the comment section, and that is that the audio directions are only available through the Beeline Plus subscription. $3.99 a month or $39.99 a year gets you audio directions, a loop route generator, and early access to new features, and that subscription can be paused at any time. Now, somebody who runs a YouTube channel, I obviously envisioned that this would generate quite a lot of activity in the comment section. So I spoke to Beeline to ask them why this particular functionality had been put effectively behind a paywall. The simple answer to that is, at the moment, the audio directions do have a direct cost per user to Beeline. It's not just a case of them trying to fleece extra money out of you. They were pretty open about it, and they said that their ethos is that any functionality that is standard in a device will never be charged for at a later stage, but some items that need to be charged for presently could end up being a standard feature in the product going forward. So in terms of the audio directions, that's something we're just going to have to keep an eye on. To be honest, I don't really see it as too much of a problem. I personally don't want the spoken instructions. The whole point of this is that I can strap it onto the bike very quickly, very easily. I can get from A to B, and I've got nice visual displays that are easy to read. I don't need the audio. But for those people that feel that they do need the audio, you can do it. Just at the moment, it is going to cost you $3.99 a month. The Beeline app is largely the same, giving you the option to plan fast routes, fun routes, or the entertaining compass route if you want to be a bit more of a free spirit. You can import GPX files, and everything about the app does exactly what it's supposed to do. In the time that I've been using the Moto 2, it has worked really well, and actually the universal mount that it comes with is incredibly handy. It fits pretty much every single bike that I've tried to get it on, with the exception of the Goldwing. Because of the shape of the handlebars and the mirrors being out on the fairing, it was pretty tricky to find somewhere to mount it. Outside of that, it's not been a problem, and I like the fact that there I have my complete navigation system. That's the mount, that's the unit. I can shove that in my pocket and go away, knowing that if I need it, I've got it to hand. Pretty handy. But has it all been plain sailing? Well, no, there have been a few issues. There is a little speed limit indicator on the screen, which actually turns red when you exceed that speed. That's actually very handy. However, I did find that occasionally when in, for example, roadworks with a temporary restriction, it doesn't always pick that restricted speed up. And of course, you may not want that speed limit indicator on the screen all the time. So in the latest firmware, I've noticed that Beeline have given you the option to turn that off. Another issue I found, which is actually a slightly bigger problem, comes around the use of waypoints. If you plan a route with waypoints but miss one, the device will continually try to reroute you back to that particular waypoint. On the face of it, that seems like a pretty good idea, because generally you'll put a waypoint in your route because that's a place that you'll want to, visit, a petrol station or a restaurant, or somewhere you want to stop and view. So it makes sense that if you happen to miss an instruction, go off route, you would want the device to take you back to that particular waypoint. But as I discovered, if you purposely miss that waypoint for any particular reason, it will continue to try to take you back to that, no matter how far further onto the route you ride. Now, this is a problem that Beeline are aware of, and they are going to put a fix for this into the next firmware. They're just working out how best to do that, and I think it's going to be a case of giving you a decision as to whether you want to ignore that waypoint or continue back to it. If you know about this, and which is why I'm telling you about this, if you know that thing with the waypoints, it's less of an issue. But obviously that's something that will be fixed in a future upgrade, and potentially it will be already there by the time this video comes out. I'm not entirely sure what the time frame is, but that's one good thing about Beeline, is they do take feedback, they do listen, and the beauty with this device is that there's a lot of extra functionality, or a lot of changes that can be made with quick firmware updates, which are done through the app. Really simple to do. But overall, using this has been a marvellous experience, and I can hand on heart say that I think this is a better device than the original Beeline. Now, that's not to say that this was bad. I still think this is a genius piece of kit, and when this was launched, it was like nothing else out there on the marketplace. And I have no qualms about still continuing to use that, but with the changes that Beeline have made to this device, with the map, the non-reflective display and those rocker switches, it's just a nicer user experience. Whilst I will still use a dedicated GPS for long tours, where the ability to quickly resize and search the map has its benefits, the Moto 2 does have its place for simple A to B navigation, and obviously you've got the fun route element and the really nice compass mode, and indeed you could use this for touring. It's just overall not quite as flexible as a fully fledged GPS system, something like the Garmin Zumo or a TomTom, but this is a lot cheaper, it's a lot smaller, it's a lot easier to mount, and the battery lasts a lot longer too. I much prefer using this than putting my expensive and somewhat fragile phone on my handlebars. There is obviously an option, and people say, if you've already got a phone, just use that for your navigation. That's fine, but I like the simplicity of this, and I like the fact that I can put my phone away, and I'm also not getting distracted by notifications from my phone because they don't appear on this screen. The standard plastic Moto 2 retails for $179.99, and the metal version comes in at $199.99. All in all, I think Beeline have done an excellent job of taking what was already an impressive navigation device and just pushing it up to the next level. As I said at the beginning, there is a lot of information to pack into this video, and hopefully I've managed to do that and still make it watchable. But if you do have any questions about the device, the functionality, anything like that, then drop those in the comment section down below, and I'll come back to you as quickly as I can. If I don't know the answer, I'll reach out to Beeline, because they've been fantastic, a really nice group of people. And also, actually, I want to take the opportunity to point out that this isn't a sponsored video. I'm not being paid for this. Yes, I was given the device to test. There was a few of us that were given the device to test over a month or so that we could come to you with an opinion of it, very close to the launch, having used it for a long period of time. So there's no hidden sponsorships. Obviously, I wanted to bring you my honest opinion on that. I think I've done that. And obviously, actually, if you've got any questions about the device, if I get enough of those, then I might utilize those to make a standalone video just to answer your specific questions. We'll see how that goes. So I hope this video was useful and informative for you. If you are looking for a small device, if you don't want to use your phone, but again, by the same token, you don't want to go for a full-on big GPS, then I think the Moto 2 is a fantastic little device for you to use. Definitely worth checking out. And all that leaves me to say is until next time, thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.